trip down memory lane.
So we're supposed to...
Well, we're in a library.
Making a racket in a...
Lisa! Oh,
Now, who do we have here? Ah,
Sorry, Miss Lisa. I know you taught me to be quiet in the library.
well, it has been far too long since we saw each other, so I suppose I can let it slide. Back when he first arrived, I figured if I can handle a boy raised by wolves, then teaching one who's part...
nice! Sounds like Durin was welcomed with open arms.
Why, of course. Now, let's save the reminiscing for another time. I'm sure you're here for a reason. Did you need to borrow some books?
It's kind of hard to explain. Maybe you could take a look at this.
Oh?
Kind of hard to explain. Maybe you could take a look at this.
Ah, I see. These so-called seeds of the story must be the books that inspired its creation. That's just how it is with stories. They grow out of the tales that came before them. And that mage, I can almost picture her here, hundreds of years ago, scribbling away at one of these very desks.
But we don't know anything about this story. How are we supposed to figure out which books inspired it?
As it happens, just before I found you here, I was looking into something rather peculiar. One of the knights reported seeing some books that weren't listed anywhere in our catalog. Stranger still, just as he went to reach out for them, the books vanished into thin air. And then, a while later, while he was browsing through other shelves, there they were again.
Seriously?
That particular knight knows this library inside and out. I'd be very surprised if he was seeing things. Something tells me these might just be the magical books you're after. According to the report, there are 3 of these books in total. I'll be relying on you to track them down, cuties.
Gusha Biat.
Please be quiet within the premises and refrain.
Kinda looks like a poetry collection. Then why is part of the title missing? Let's see what Lisa makes of it.
Well, did you manage to find them? Yes, this is a restricted book, all right. It certainly isn't supposed to be here.
Huh. But it looks like a regular poetry collection. How did it end up being classified as a restricted book?
The issue lies with one of the poems inside. You've heard of the great battle that took place on Dragonspine, yes? 500 years ago, during the cataclysm in Conria, an evil dragon descended upon Mondstadt. A fierce battle with Dvalin ensued, but in the end, the evil dragon fell, and Dragonspine became its resting place.
You're talking about Durin. The Durin of Dragonspine.
Well, the poem in question turns the whole battle into a dance, with the evil dragon recast as an innocent child who came here in search of friends. But given all the suffering experienced at the claws of that dragon, how could the people of Mondstadt accept such a retelling? Bards are often accused of inventing history or distorting the truth in their ballads, but this one hit a bit too close to home. And since the knights back then were unable to track down the author, they decided to ban the entire collection, blot out the title, and seal it away for good.
So the version in the poem, it was all a lie?
I'm afraid that question is something only the dragon himself could answer. Well, did you manage to find them? Seems like there's still some missing. Why don't you try checking the other shelves?
Second strongest. Wait. Huh. It's one of an experiment. There's something serious. Oh, wait. We better show it to.
Well, did you manage to find them? Huh.
Yeah.
Albedo was the one.
Why?
He said it's full of. Apparently, the danger it posed was so great, he didn't even feel like it was.
Really? Definitely sounds like it shouldn't be here then.
Still. Well, did you manage to find them? Well, this book has quite an obvious but as one of the libraries, it really is a. Well, did you manage to find them? Truly extraordinary.
So, it's some kind of.
It's true. The only reason it's after Klee was born.
So, it's to.
Well, would you look at that? Seems like these are the little troublemakers you're after. And all three just so happen to be forbidden texts. What kind of story requires reference material like that, I wonder?
Forbidden texts? You know, the first time you mentioned that the library had a restricted section, I thought you were just trying to scare us. Are you saying it actually exists?
Not really something you should be poking your little nose into, is it, cutie?
Sorry.
Seeing as it was Miss Alice who asked you to look for these books, I won't question the matter. But they'll need to be sealed away again once you're done, so don't forget to return them.
Don't worry, Miss Lisa. I won't forget.
Well then, that's all from me. After all that hard work, I think I've earned myself a nice cup of tea.
All right. We've gathered all the reference books. What's next?
Wait, look!
Long, long ago, an evil dragon descended upon the human world, bringing terrible calamity in its wake. Bravely did the people resist, until at last the dragon lay slain. Later, a witch with a love for stories came upon the tale of the evil dragon, and for reasons she could not explain, felt a pang of sorrow on its behalf. For she knew, despite its body being born of wicked alchemy, all along, the dragon's soul was that of an innocent child. Right up to the moment of its death, it had no choice in becoming a vessel of calamity, nor could it fathom the cruel fate that lay before it. With how this one ended. No, that won't do, she thought. I'll write you a better ending instead. And so she set off to do just that, borrowing a little magic from her friend. With it, she wove a dragon's egg, resolving to rear a dragon child of her own. Yet long in thought she lingered, wondering what kind of world her little dragon ought to behold upon waking.
A panelinha tá lá em cima da mesa, da mamãe. Com arroz. Cadê meu boné, ué?
At last, she made her mind up, adorning the cradle with a wisp of woodland air. Then she quietly waited for the egg to hatch.
Vai cair lá, pai lá em cima lá dessa não. Deixa o pai lá só mais tarde. Lá para as 4 horas você vai. Nós não tivemos mais frio. Assim, meus R$ 11 que estavam ali, meus 11.
Alice is magic.
Yeah.
A story about me?
Why don't we just see where the story takes us? All we know is the beginning at this point.
Okay.
And now a golden-haired traveler, a silvery sprite, and a dragon-born youth step onto the stage. What new chapter will their arrival bring?
Whoa! That came out of nowhere. Was that the same voice we heard just now? Yeah. But why does it sound so familiar?
I've missed this. It's just like the stories my mother used to tell me.
You mean Em? She used to tell you stories?
Yeah, she loved it. Back when she was still alive. Sorry, we should focus on what we're here to do. So, now that we are in the story, what's next?
The dragon youth wondered aloud. Yet all he could do was wait for the story to unfold. Of course, there's something to be said for helping it along. Perhaps a little exploration could prove fruitful.
Oh, is that a hint?
Yeah, I agree.
For a moment, the story crashers fell silent. Perhaps waiting around wasn't such a bad idea after all.
This must be the dragon egg, right? Looks like it's gonna hatch any moment now. So we've got a dragon egg about to hatch, a witch who loves stories, and that evil dragon we heard about in the...
This is my story, isn't it?
Okay, so how are we supposed to help the story along? It feels like all we can do right now is wait.
Apparently, it hadn't dawned on the group to look for a way to help the egg hatch faster.
Oh, right! We're at the point in the story where we're waiting for the baby dragon to hatch. So that has to happen before...
With the flames at his command, perhaps the dragon youth might be able to provide the egg with sufficient warmth.
What? You want us to roast the dragon egg?
The silvery sprite's surprise betrayed her lack of reading. For in countless tales it is told that only by fire's embrace will a dragon's egg hatch swiftly.
Huh, you kinda have a point there.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. Okay! Life!
Let every unborn life be welcomed with tender anticipation, and may that warmth stay with it for a lifetime. At last, under the witch's expectant gaze, the little dragon broke free from... No living being has ever I brought you, but I promise you that...
You've never told me those things. Thank you for bringing me in.
The waiting witch did not feel lonely, for she had 3 visitors by her side. Together, they beheld the hatchling's first breath of life. Holding her dragon child close, the witch promised him a life unlike that of the evil dragon. And so, nestled in his mother's warm embrace, did the little dragon's story begin.